Okay, so you guys said that you would be interested in me breaking down some spooky, mysterious, true cases for the month of October. I figured the first place to start would be Amityville. I am not very good at filming things. I don't know how to edit, so these videos are going to be pretty raw. I might be able to manage to edit a little bit, but they're going to be pretty raw. So don't judge me on that, because I'm not here to win an editing award. I'm here to give you the Halloween creeps. Okay, so let's go. Amityville is a small town on Long Island, New York. Beautiful place, pretty affluent. Generally, it's an upper class area, and the home that we're going to be talking about does still exist today. The address has been changed because this is a very popular case and a lot of people showed up. And if you don't know what the Amityville house looks like, I will attach pictures. But the Amityville house has a very distinct look because of the windows that are in the attic room. And the current owners of that house changed the windows to deter tourists from being able to find the home. I want to warn you that this is going to be a long video. I am not a professional video maker. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. It's gonna be long, and I am gonna have to cut it into two parts because there are two families that were affected by the Amityville case. The house at 112 Ocean Avenue was called High Hopes. So I'm just going to keep referring it to the Amityville house though, because that's its popular name. It has spawned book deals, a movie franchise. It's very popular. So that's what we're going to refer to it as. I talk with my hands a lot. I've tried to keep them down, but I can't. So we're going to dive into Amityville and the families that lived there and the families that experienced the tragedies. The first family we're going to talk about is the DeFeo family, and then part two will be about the Lutz family. I have even got a quote from Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson, Chris McKinnell, for you guys. I wanted to make sure I wasn't spreading disinformation since Ed and Lorraine Warren aren't here to speak for themselves. I just wanted to make sure that I had the correct information on their take of this house. And I want to go ahead and tell you I am a believer of the paranormal, but I'm also a college educated psychology major. So yeah, I do have opinions on this case, but I will just lay out the facts for you, and any of my own opinions I'll wait till I've laid out the facts at the end to share, and you can form your own. I would love to hear them, but we're about to dive deep. There's going to be a lot of names. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So the first family we're going to cover is the DeFeo family. Buckle in, because this is a wild ride. It's quite brutal. So PG-13. There will be descriptions of crime scenes. There will be talks of demon possession. There will be a lot of things that kids shouldn't watch. And I also have a potty mouth, so I might cuss. So, you got kids? Turn it off. So, I am going to take you back to New York, 1964, Long Island, the town of Amityville. The DeFeo family moves into the home, which is a gift from Louise DeFeo's father. Now, Louise DeFeo is the matriarch of the family. The DeFeo family consists of 7 members. We have Ronald Sr., who is the father, and Ronald was 44. We have Louise, who is the mother. She was 42. Then we have the 5 children. There were 5 children. There was Ronald Jr., whose nickname was Butch, and to avoid confusion between Butch and Ronald Sr., I'm going to call him Butch. Then we have Dawn, who was 18, Allison was 13, Mark was 12, and John Matthew was 9. So the family lived at 112 Ocean Avenue, the Amityville house, for approximately 10 years before the massacre happened. I'm going to call it a massacre because 6 out of 7 family members were killed in their beds. So one day, November 13th, 1974, Butch DeFeo goes home and he finds his mother and his father face down, dead in the bed. He runs to a local bar that he frequents, his family frequents. It's a small place, everybody knows each other. And Butch says, hey, I think my parents are dead. Now keep in mind, Butch is 23 at this time. He's the eldest. He knows the people in the bar know him. So, it being kind of a small community, they went back with Butch to 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, to see what had happened. And what they stumbled upon was a mess. Not only was Ronald and Louise DeFeo murdered face down in their beds with 2 gunshot wounds each, but so were 4 of their children. Okay, so it's bad enough you now have 6 people laying face down in their bed, dead, with gunshot wounds. But you have also just contaminated an entire crime scene by going to the bar, getting your friends, and bringing them back to help you check things out. This crime scene has been walked over now by civilians. Well, one of the civilians calls the cops, and the cops come out there, and they start investigating. And the murders are just baffling. They are baffling. It's a lot, so just give me a second to put it all in order. So the cops find Louise and Ronald, just like Butch said, face down in their bed, 2 gunshot wounds each. They're dead. The police also find 4 of the siblings, 4 out of 5. Now remember, Butch is the oldest. He's the one who found them. 4 out of 5 of the children are also dead. And they are also face down in their beds, but they have 1 gunshot wound each. So this is wild. Why is this wild? Because you have 6 people in a house that were shot, and according to cops, they could tell it was a rifle. They were shot with a rifle, and not one of them seemed to wake up. They were all in the downward facing position, and no neighbors heard gunshots. Neighbors said that all they heard was the dog barking at one point. They did not hear gunshots. They did not hear cries for help. And it looked like Louise and Ronald had been shot first, which should have waken up the other children. If you've ever heard a gun fired, especially a rifle, you know that sound reverberates, unless it has a silencer. But we'll get back to that. So the cops take Butch to the police station because they got to find out what's going on here. And Butch says, hey, I slept somewhere else last night, and then I came home from work this afternoon. They were dead. I ran to the bar and got help. So as the cops are questioning Butch and asking if anyone would want to hurt his family, Butch tells them his father is in massive debt with the mafia. And not only that, but his mother, her father, so Butch's maternal grandfather, who gifted them this house in the first place, was part of the mafia. And Butch says, I think this was probably a hired hit. He even gave a name of the person that apparently their families used to do the hits. He was like, I think this is a hired hit. And at the moment, the cops seem to agree, because they determined that the deaths happened between 3 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. And what is so strange about these murders happening between 3 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. is the fact that it only took 15 minutes to massacre 6 people. 6 people dead in 15 minutes. So the cops are sitting there like, it has to be more than one person. It has to be a professional hit. So they go to check out the guy that Butch named. Turns out this guy was not even in the state at the time, and he was cleared as a suspect. So they told Butch, look, that's not adding up. So Butch drops a bombshell. Butch tells the cops that he killed his entire family. Butch said that he had intended only to kill his father. Butch claimed his father was abusive. There's other evidence to back this up, but his father's not around to speak for himself, so I don't know. But Butch is saying he only wanted to kill his father. But Butch said that after that first shot, that it just started and it went so fast and that he couldn't stop. And he said that he basically blanked out, and when he came back to, he was staring at the mirror and looking at himself with a shotgun and his bloody clothes. And he realized what he'd done. Now, if you would like a pretty good visual of what this would look like, I suggest you watch the opening to the movie The Conjuring 2, because that movie is not about Amityville necessarily, but the opening, the first about 10 minutes, show the portrayal of Lorraine Warren going through the house as Butch DeFeo, blacked out, killing his entire family. It was a good scene. It was filmed so well. Vera Farmiga is an amazing actress. Okay. Anyway, back to the real point of the story. So Butch said he just blacked out, and when he came to, there he was, bloody, and he had killed his entire family. So as you can imagine, the investigators are in shock. And Butch tells them where the murder weapon is and where his bloody clothes are. And sure enough, they go where he said he put them, and there they are. And they find the rifle. And it was a .35 caliber rifle, and it did not have a silencer on it. So this makes the fact that they were face down in their bed all the more baffling, because cops didn't think that they had been shot and then laid face down on the bed. Cops think they were already all face down when they died. Well, they talked to Butch about this, and Butch said that no one ever woke up. No one ever woke up. Okay, first off, Butch said he blacked out, but then he said no one ever woke up. And the cops asked him, did you use a silencer? And he says no, he did not use a silencer. So then the cops try a lot of other silencers onto the gun to see if they could fit one on there, and they couldn't. So basically nobody heard anything, and that is so bizarre, especially with a .35 caliber shotgun. Wow. So they asked Butch, like, why didn't anybody wake up? And Butch says, well, I put sedatives in their food before dinner, so they were all knocked out. Wow. That would make sense, but when they did the autopsy and the toxicology on the family members, there was no sedative, no drug whatsoever in their system. So Butch's story about drugging his family before they went to sleep that night, it's not holding water, But the story that he did kill them is holding water. It's undeniable that he killed them. He's confessed. He told them where the murder weapon was. He told them how he killed them. He told them that he just snapped. But like I said, the way these people died is just bizarre. It blows my mind. So the cops have their murderer. Now they need a motive. Why did Butch DeFeo murder his entire family? Especially the sisters that he was crazy for. Apparently he and Dawn were so close. They were almost inseparable. So what was his motive? Well, at first his motive was that his father was abusive. Then his motive was that there are demons in this house and that he had been conversing with them and that they were in the basement in the crawl space and that they had told him he had to kill everybody in his house. And they kept telling him this until he did the deed. So the defense for Butch decides that they're going to argue that he is not mentally competent to stand trial, that he is mentally unwell. And they look into his history and they find out that he is actually unwell. He has a history of mental illnesses. He was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, DID, which is what we used to call multiple personality disorder. Multiple personality disorder. He also had antisocial personality disorder, and he had schizophrenia, which could explain the voices that he was hearing. I am not a lawyer, but I am going to give you a quick rundown of what it means to say that you are guilty, but that you are not competent to stand trial, that you are guilty and plead an insanity defense. This is not a freebie. An insanity plea is not something that will keep you out of jail. It is not something that's gonna release you back into society. An insanity plea is basically saying, I did it, but I'm really mentally unwell. And what happens then is that the judge will send you to a mental rehabilitation center or an institution so that you can get the mental help you need. And during this time, you are being observed. And trust me, if you're faking it, these people know. These people are trained to spot a faker. Anyway, so the judge tells him, the difference between right and wrong. And Butch DeFeo was charged with 6 counts of second-degree murder. I'm going to break down second-degree murder for you. First-degree murder is when you have premeditated a murder and you have planned it out. Second-degree murder usually is what they would refer to as a crime of passion, an emotionally driven murder, a murder that you did not plan out. Now, that's not always the case. That's just a simple explanation. If you're a lawyer, correct me if I'm wrong. So, he's serving 6 life sentences currently, and every time he's tried to become a free man, every time he's tried to get paroled, he's been denied. So what strikes me as weird is that he was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder, saying that there was no premeditation, but he told them that he had drugged his family the night of their murder so that they would stay asleep and wouldn't put up a struggle when he killed them. And the toxicology reports say that there was no drugs in their system. So that could mean 3 things. That could mean that DeFeo was lying, that there was nothing in his family's system, or that whatever was in their system was out of their bloodstream by the time they did the toxicology report. Sorry, I'm starting to get a little frazzled. So, anyway, in 1986, Butch DeFeo changes. That could mean a few things. That could mean there was nothing in his family's system at all, and he was lying, or it can mean that there was something in their system, but whatever it was left their bloodstream fairly quickly and didn't show up in a toxicology report. Okay, so now we're going to go to 1986. It has been almost a decade, and DeFeo, who is in prison, decides he's going to change his story. DeFeo is no longer the murderer in his memory. DeFeo says that what really happened was that his sister Dawn had had enough of their father's abusive behavior, and that Dawn and he had conspired to kill their father and their mother. So he says that he and Dawn killed their father and mother as planned, but then Dawn just didn't stop. Like, Dawn went nuts and just killed the entire family. So DeFeo says he was so enraged by this, the fact that Dawn killed their siblings, that he turned the gun on Dawn. Okay, that's his 1986 version. Still doesn't make sense because Dawn was face down just like everybody else. Now, what is interesting is Dawn did have gunpowder residue on the edge of her nightgown, which indicated she had been in close proximity to someone else who had been shot, but that she was not the shooter that she had been shot at. And the bullet went by. And I know what you're thinking. That doesn't make sense either. They were still all found face down in their bed with no evidence of a struggle and no evidence of being moved. I don't know. I don't get it. That's why it's a mystery. Okay, though we're not done. We are not done. I'm really getting into this now. Ignore the show on the background. We are not done. So in 1990, this fool changes his story again. I don't want to call him a fool because he might be telling the truth about some things, but Dawn's not here to defend herself. But he changes his story again and says that Dawn by herself shot his father, and that when Dawn shot their father because of his abuse, and the shot woke up his mother, who was then so distraught that she wrestled the rifle from Dawn, killed Dawn, shot 3 of the other kids, then shot herself. Again, I know what you're thinking. They were face down. The facts of the case still have not changed, okay? The facts of the case still have not changed. None of these excuses, none of them are making sense. And finally he settles on basically the devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. That's basically his defense. He is still, I think, in prison in Long Island, New York. But that is not the end of 112 Ocean Avenue. Whew. That's just the DeFeo family. Okay? Next up, we're going to go to the family that moved in. So now we're going to move on to the Lutz family. And the Lutz family is the family that bought the house almost exactly 1 year after the DeFeo murders. That's a long story too, and that is a whopper. So I will probably be wearing different hair, different clothes, different everything when you see it. Don't complain. I said I'm not a professional. I made it clear. Okay, so here's my thoughts just on the DeFeo situation alone. I've looked at a lot of different things that do indicate that the father was abusive, and the fact that both the mother and the father had some serious mafia ties is alarming to me. It does not say that they were killed by the mafia, but it does say that they weren't the best people. And let me just make myself clear, because I know one of you is going to try it. One of you is going to try it. You're going to try to say that I'm saying because they were bad people, they deserved whatever happened to them. No, don't try it. Calm down. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the whole situation is shady. Maybe he was abusive. We know that Butch had mental issues, but He claimed that he heard voices coming from the crawl space in the basement, that there was a secret room down there, which there was. This is a fact, there was. And that there were voices coming to him from that room telling him that he had to kill his family. So you need to know that before we move on to the Lutz family. So what do I think about the DeFeo murders? I think I believe in a mixture of a lot of things. I do believe in the supernatural, and I do believe in psychiatry, and I do know that mental illness is often demonized. But as you will see in the upcoming segment, similar things happened to the Lutz family, and this was 1974. Okay, we didn't have social media for word to travel that fast. I think there was possibly something unnatural in that home, but I also do think that Ronald DeFeo was abusive. There were reports of him hitting his wife. I'm saying reports, and I'm saying that I think he was. I don't want to get sued by anybody. There is a possibility that Butch did not commit the murders, and it could have been a professional mob hit. Think about it. If your family was in the mob, and they had pissed the mob off bad enough to kill your entire family, and you come home and find it, are you gonna rat out the mob? Are you gonna rat out the mob? Because honestly, he's probably safer in prison than he would be walking around if the mob did do this. But back to the supernatural element, it's just bizarre to me that no one heard the shots. You cannot sleep through a rifle. I'm sorry, you can't. No one heard the shots, not even the neighbors, and that everybody was face down in their bed, same position, no signs of a struggle. It's bizarre to me. Do I believe that Dawn DeFeo had anything to do with this murders? No, I don't. She was a victim. She was found face down in her bed, just like everybody else. No, I do not think Dawn DeFeo helped her brother with this at all. And I'm also I'm so incensed about the fact that he killed his sister, especially just because they had been so close, and he would have fought anybody for his sister. In fact, he did fight his father over his sister. It's just bizarre to me. But there is also the very real possibility that he had schizophrenia or DID, and that he honestly did black out, that he did not know what he was doing, and that when he came to, there it was. So, who knows? So, if Butch DeFeo is still alive, which I do need to check and see, that's something I probably should have looked at. But yes, he did deserve his 6 counts of second-degree murder. I am not arguing otherwise, so I just want to make that clear. Everybody take a breather, because the next episode, we're going to go into the Lutz family, I promise.